Woohoo!
Okay, we're back. Yes.
Hi, welcome to 4 on 40
Thank you.
on Money. I'm one of your hosts, Joanna DeVoe of Kick-Ass Witch, putting the K in magic. And the other three fine ladies you see sitting here are Dawn Champagne, aka Miss Bliss Coach, the creatrix behind Manifesting with the Moon. We also have Lenora Henson, the author of the Wicked Garden series, and Suzanne Michelle of Revive with Energy.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. And we are here to talk about money today. I am so sorry if you arrived for the original event. We got a strange sound loop going that we couldn't shut off. So we just decided to abort mission and start all over. So hopefully you got our link, and if not, you can watch this on replay, and I will be sending you an email, so you will hear this retrospectively, I guess, but we got you covered. So, Suzanne, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit better than I just did and tell everybody what you are here to talk about today?
All right, yeah, so my name is Suzanne Michelle, and you can find me at revivewithenergy.com. And I am an intuition coach, which means that I help to bridge the rational mind with the intuitive heart. So when people are making decisions in their life and they want real transformation, I help them to really take their intuitive heart and then use rational, linear ideas that work so that they can actually ground in what they're here to do or how they are here to make a decision. So when it comes to money, how do we use our intuitive heart to navigate through currency? And I say currency on purpose because currency is flow. And what we're really talking here is about energy flow. And we just happen to be in a time when we use paper and coins as exchange. And so we call our currency flow money, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm here to chat about and what I'd like to propose to everyone is, how do you receive? Asking the question, how do you receive? Do you deny receptivity? Are you somebody who gives all the time, and so you're giving your resources, giving your currency away, and not opening yourself up to the flow of receiving? So I believe that receiving is probably the most primary, foundational energy position that you can be in if you want to have more money. So maybe we can all chat about this, at what receiving means.
Yes, totally. And it's funny. It would seem like an obvious thing, but I think so many of us have a really hard time doing that. I definitely used to more than I do now. Even just a compliment. Somebody says, thank you, oh, you look so beautiful, and you can't say thank you. You have to be like, oh, no, I don't. This whole thing, and my hair's a mess, and I totally have a zit right here. And we, push away. We can't even receive and take in to our hearts sometimes the most simplest thing, like a compliment, much less, here's $10,000 for a job well done.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. And I know, Lenora, you are an author and a very creative person. We all are very creative people, but I think you kind of personify that in a way because you're spending so much time writing these amazing novels and pouring yourself into your work creatively. How does money come into play with that when you so identify with being a creative person? Do you have a hard time receiving when so much of what you do is output?
I think so. I think I never really looked at it that way, but that's definitely something to consider because I'm constantly putting something out there, giving something with the books. But I think it's momentum, really. And the cycle is going to bring it all back around, and I think it just takes time.
Yeah.
And that energy, and to really get that momentum going, and to allow it, because what I'm putting out there, you can put out there all kinds of stuff, but it's not going to come back unless you're unblocked. you're unblocked, then you can receive, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to quantify when you're spending 3 months just editing one draft, and it's not a dollars per hour situation. So I think you have to expand your idea of what it means to receive and in what ways that might show up for you.
Absolutely, and it takes a great deal of trust too, trust and faith, and the people around you that are helping as well to help get that cycle, that flow going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're talking about. Yeah. So what we're talking about is resistance, and we need to ask people. We need to ask ourselves what exactly is our resistance? What specifically is our limitation? Is it the assumptions that we have about money? You know, is it the beliefs that were offered to us as little kids, and we were exposed to that in our culture, in our church, in our whatever it was? You know, is money really the root of all evil? You know, what conclusions do we make? You know, do only other people make money, but we can't make money? So we have to first know what our resistance is, so that we can increase the flow.
I would agree with that. I think what I'm working with today is words.
Right.
As a writer, I really am attached to words, and they have a special place in my soul. And words have vibration. And so when I think of the word desire, it's something that as children maybe, some of us were taught not to desire things, to not want things, because, you know, you can't get that today, or you can't get that ever. And I think sometimes we grow up with that. So desire became kind of a bad word for some of us. It's not okay to want. Well, it is okay. It is okay to want money and to have that flow. So that's a word that I use a lot. It's okay to desire.
Yeah, I love the offering you created for the event. Those they're like little cards with kind of power words. You called them keywords. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
It's law of attraction. They have a higher vibration. Some words have, and it's the connotation, it's the meaning that you put to that word. And so they're going to have a higher vibration as opposed to lack. Let's see, affluence, prosperity, flow, thrive. All those words have a higher vibration, and when you use them, and when you look at them, and when you write them, it's going to open up that receiving flow, and more of it's going to come to you instead of resisting. Resistance words are the ones that you want to stay away from.
Right. Is that something we all have in common? Law of attraction?
I think so. You guys use it well?
Yeah, it's definitely a powerful force that is operating at all times, and you know, we're definitely exposed to law of attraction, all of us, and we're also creations of it and receivers of it, because we are entangled with other people. So even though we might be right on track, and you know, we might be having an abundance in our life, and then some a-hole is texting and crashes into me, and you know, now I've got a financial disaster.
Right.
So we're all entangled in the law of attraction.
Yeah. I think for me, I reached a point where I think a lot of people get into law of attraction because they're interested in creating financial abundance in their lives. And that was definitely a component that made it appealing to me. And it's great to heal a poverty mentality and to do like a bit of shadow work. It's great to do the law of attraction and to learn how to get into vibration with what you want. But I read so many books like that, and I did so many exercises. I actually even got really great at manifesting money and opportunities for myself. But I found what was lacking in a lot of information that's directed at women for money is just really practical, hands-on know-how and education. And I started getting really frustrated. I would take webinars And I would like listen to the whole hour, and they do this whole like, hey, you know, you too could be rich, and it all sounds so promising, and that by the end of it, they really haven't given you any information or taught you the how-to. And money is such a material thing and a part of this 3D reality that I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we're just operating from a spiritual standpoint. I think you also have to step in to the material world and meet the universe halfway and educate yourself. And that works with the law of attraction, of course. But I realized I was ignorant about so many things. So that was standing in my way. I didn't understand taxes. I still don't. These are things I'm learning. But I didn't understand taxes. I didn't understand how to set up a retirement fund for myself, how much money I should have in the bank, what should go where, and how to have good debt and how to have bad debt, and is there such thing as good debt? Like these practical components, I think, is what women really need. So I'm excited to see there's some websites going up that focus on that for women, and that's what I'm all about right now, because I think that's such a key part of manifesting what you want and then being able to handle it and hold it and step into your power as a financially independent woman. If you don't know what to do with your money, I don't know how well that's going to work for you to have a big pile of it.
Right. I think that's part of the chain, your thoughts and your feelings toward it, and then, you know, the physical, what do you do with it once you do have it?
Yeah. I
Right.
wasn't taught this stuff in school, and my family didn't teach me this. My offering is kind of around that. I did a video called "A Man Is Not a Financial Plan" because I grew up getting a very clear message that a man would take care of me. And so far, I'm 40, and that hasn't happened. But I've had 2 husbands, and both of them took care of the money and did the taxes. And I think there was a comfort or a safety in not having to deal with it. And now that I'm 40, I'm realizing I've really put myself at risk living that way. It was a false sense of security. And even though I might be able to manifest, you know, $10,000 using the law of attraction, I wasn't being very smart about what I was doing with my money and just paying attention to what I was responsible for, which was my family's income, my son's future, my own future. So I've been doing a lot of work around that, and, you know, the sovereign goddess archetype, and stepping into my power that way and facing what is really scary, which is numbers and taxes and, you know, all this stuff that I don't understand that seems so overwhelming. I've really just stepped into that and accepted it's time to begin and move forward, because it's not going to get any better as time marches on.
It's a very daunting topic.
Yeah.
You come this far in your life, you know, at our age group, and yeah, some of us are divorced with families, and sometimes I think, or a lot of times, women kind of get thrown into it, and so we learn by default or by, you know, just going through the experience.
Yeah. I wish I could quote the statistics, but they're not good for women whose husbands die or they get a divorce, women who are considered wealthy and end up homeless or just struggling and living in a studio apartment and barely making ends meet because they let the man in their life take care of the money, and then he dies, or they get a divorce and maybe he didn't take care of the money in the way that it should have been taken. I'm the wiser. So this is actually a phenomenon that's happening with women in midlife. So I think it's extremely relevant to women in their 40s to educate ourselves and learn about the scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it may have been happening, but nobody was talking about it. Nobody, you know, they were embarrassed. Probably, you know, I should know this. Why don't I know this stuff? Well,
yeah,
it's a generational thing too. You know, it's something that needs to be passed down, and it hasn't been. I mean, it was passed down to the men,
yes,
but and some women, I'm sure, but not me.
No, I know, and I that's really what I was interested in talking about this. Why? Because I just think there's just so much shame around it, and you assume everybody else knows. You know, you're 40 years old. You should know this stuff by now. So I think it's good to talk about it for those of us that are still just figuring it out, you know.
Or just starting to figure it out. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dawn, I see you trying to cut in. We have Dawn Champagne here, who also created an amazing offering, and she is joining us via her car, so she hasn't gotten to get a word in edgewise. Dawn, what did you want to say?
Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm kind of lagging in the conversation.
Is she frozen, or am I just not hearing her?
Yeah, I can't hear her.
I can't hear her.
Oh, for goodness sake. Okay, so we've lost Dawn. I don't know if you can hear us, Dawn, but your mouth is moving, but no sound is coming out. Yeah, we lost Dawn. So, Suzanne,
yeah, I think
how might that come into play with the whole like thing I just spewed out about?
Yeah, no,
all the great stuff.
Dawn, we couldn't hear you, so we kept talking. So I think women, and I'm gonna actually speak for myself. I'm not gonna say women. I'm gonna speak for myself. I am the queen of denial, and I am so optimistic, and I have such a positive outlook on life, and I just assume that everything is going to be taken care of. And I am very responsible with my own assets, if you will. But I will say that I'm in complete denial, like a lot of other women, which is everything's going to be okay. And you know what I don't hear from the masculine energy is everything's going to be okay. They're like, we got to make it happen, you know? So they have this energy of we have to make it happen or it's not going to happen. Whereas I think the energy, I'll speak for myself again, is, well, it will be okay. Everything's going to work out. If I stress too much about it, then, am I going to push it away? So I think denial is pervasive in the subject of money and women.
Yes, I agree. I relate to that so much. And I think, too, envisioning it as a stressful, scary thing is part of what makes the denial so comfortable seeming, and I think we need to have a little paradigm shift there and see it joyfully as a game. It's like, okay, this is the game of life. We're in it. We're on this planet. We are in this 3D reality. Money is the primary exchange here for energy, for currency, and I'm going to figure this out. I think if we can do it that way, with curiosity and a sense of adventure, it might not be as scary.
Yeah, and I've found that I have focused more on my health energy exchange, my well-being energy exchange, because I'm thinking, you know what, I can have $1 million in the bank, and that can be gone like that if I have some, crazy chronic stress autoimmune disease. So I think of it as money isn't just the tangible coins and paper exchange. I think of it as my whole life is a sense of currency. My whole being is a sense of currency. What am I exchanging, my stress for? Am I going to work 80 hours a week and then, have all this money and then not have any free time to enjoy it? So I feel like it's more than just money. But if we're talking about just money, I believe that we need to look at the resistance to money, and if we can look at it, name it, then at least we have a better chance of becoming aware of it, and then it'll be better so that we're not in denial, so that we're not ending up at 65 years old going, what the F? Like, what did I do?
Yeah. I like that, and you said to name it, and I think that's great. And what I have noticed, the word that has been coming up for me that I have named is value. What do I value? Who do I value? And when you do have somebody taking care of the bills or the money, do you value their money? do you value what they're paying for? And the work, do you value the work that they're doing? So that's something that I'm kind of working around. I've
Right.
named it value.
Mm-hmm. And you can be of value, I think, in a family as a woman if you're the homemaker and you're taking care of kids and you're making the dinner. And the husband can be of value if he's decided to be the so-called breadwinner. It's about, though, do you value each other and are you working as a team? And if you're going to embody the sovereign goddess and take responsibility for your financial life, you have to know where all the money is, whether you're bringing it in or not. And you have to be a part of the decision-making process and the life planning. You can't just, it doesn't matter who's bringing the income in if you're both bringing value to the situation. But I do think you have to work as a team and be very aware of where the dollars are going, and if some debt is being created that you're not aware of, or some secret account, God forbid,
Which happens all the time to people.
all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Dawn, I see you there. Did you want to? I'm so sorry we lost you before.
Oh, shoot.
Dawn, can you hear us? Oh no, her mouth is moving, but no sound is coming out. Well, I encourage you all to check out the offering that Dawn created just for this event. There's a video and a really thoughtful blog post that she did. So if she doesn't get to chime in here, she's got plenty to say about this, as well as all kinds of other things on her radio show and her website. So check that out if we don't get Dawn back on here.
Yeah. Well, I went through a divorce in 2013, and I got a real reality check when I was looking at our finances, which is, oh my goodness, I brought a lot of intangibles to the table. And there is not you can't put it on paper, you can't put it in an Excel spreadsheet, you can't, put it in a box and say, see what I did? So it's really an interesting thing when we're talking about value, when we're in partnership, that we're having these conversations, ongoing conversations of, wow, what I've put in is just as much as what you've put in. Let's talk about it. Let's make sure that we value each other so that it's an ongoing dialogue. Because I think a lot of times we don't have that dialogue, and then...
I hear you.
I hear Dawn. We can hear you, Dawn.
I feel you, what you're just saying, Suzanne, completely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that so many women, we say, I did this. When I was a teenager, I wanted to be wealthy, and I went around bragging about how I was going to make $1 million before I turned 21, and then that didn't happen. And then somehow became part of my identity in my 20s and my early 30s that I was just the starving artist. I didn't care about money. I wasn't focused on money, and that wasn't important to me. And it became a kind of reverse snobism. And I found other ways to be of value and to give. I think I overcompensated. I think I gave even more to try to prove that I was of value instead of feeling valuable myself and feeling my own worth. I tried to prove it to another person and be like, look, I'm earning my keep here. I'm doing all the cleaning and all the cooking and waiting on you like you're a king, so that must be value here, even though you can't, like you said, put it into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and now we're getting into what's really, really the nitty-gritty of it is self-worth. Right? We're talking about self-worth. We're talking about, okay, what is my self-worth, and how does that translate to coin and paper so that we can exchange it for something? And can we put self-worth in a bank? No. But what can we do with self-worth? And I think, again, if we don't have self-worth, we're probably making those decisions that are keeping us stuck in denial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's really, again, if we want to, as women, if we say we've we have these regrets, that we're not where we want to be financially right now. I think the first step is to build the self-worth bank and build the, again, bringing up what are we resisting, what are we denying, and addressing those head on. And I know it sucks and it stinks and it's not fun to do, but at least when you do it, you can take a sigh of relief and go, ah, okay, now I've named it. Now I know. Now I know what I'm not going to deny and move forward. Because that's really what this is about. It's not beating ourselves up. You know, that's not going to help.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I do think you can take your self-worth to the bank. I think that's where it starts. That's like the beginning point, you know?
Yeah.
That's where and it's about not being in denial and being like, okay, I'm scared to death. I don't know anything about this, and then moving forward anyway. And if you keep moving forward every day, if you keep showing up, you will know more and more, and that fear will start falling away, and you will start stepping into your power. And that's something to move forward and move toward, which is exciting when you think about it that way. It's not so scary. You know, you're leaving that fear behind you and moving toward confidence, empowerment, money in the bank.
Right. And it's just practical things. It's like, okay, should you put that new pair of jeans that make you feel good in the immediate, you know, just the immediate time and put it on your credit card if you can't pay your gas bill? You know, like just simple things like that. What we're doing is then we're feeding our self-worth with the new pair of jeans, and then we're not going to have the fat bank account. It's like, so...
Dawn,
I know.
I'm sorry.
Say that again, Dawn.
Is it a cheap thrill, or are you looking for a deep thrill?
We love that. Since we have you here, Dawn, you should just run with it. Like, we'll all be quiet and see how long we can keep you up here.
That was actually a quote from the book Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. And I really wish, I read that book in my late 20s, and I really wish that I had implemented the suggestions and the exercises at that time in my life, but I didn't, for whatever reason. You know, obviously I had other lessons to learn in that regard. But my second go-around in reading that book has been a real eye-opener, and what I really appreciated about it this time around is just the whole getting real with where you are right now. And you ladies were talking about it earlier, about the reality check and it being a scary thing. And another quote that I so love is, the only thing that we have to fear is fear itself. Once you look at the situation for what it is and just observe it and allow yourself to look at it without judgment or shame or blame or any of those things, it deflates itself, and you have your first actual pathway opens up to that receptivity, to that being able to receive again. And so the fear of looking at it is, I think, the biggest thing that keeps us from being real.
Yeah.
So anyway, cheap thrill or deep thrill?
I'm so happy we got you in on the conversation. Yay! I have a quote that I love too, since we're saying quotes about don't give up what you want most for what you want now. And I often actually use that to get my butt moving to exercise, but I think it really applies to money too. Even if that's just, okay, this is overwhelming and I can't think about this right now. Well, when can you think about it? You know, when will be the perfect time to overwhelm yourself? You know.
I think we need to switch gears too with our thinking when we have this. when we feel like we need something, we need to pay the bills, and I need this amount of money and to do this, and I need this, need this, need this. There's a great quote. It's the want has to be greater than the need. So when you do desire something, when you really want something, you're going to get it so much quicker than if you just need something. So, and that's a vibrational thing too. And it's changing your mindset. I want to pay my bills. I mean, it's a good thing for me to be able to pay. I don't dread them when they come in. You just pay them, and you should be grateful that you can do that. So,
right.
Changing your mindset, I guess. Also,
I missed the first part of that.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
the want has to be greater than the need. I live by that. Yeah, and you know, I've noticed too in this day and age, we see a lot of young people that have this entitlement issue, and that's just such a turnoff. And I was talking about it last night with my folk, and we had this conversation about the pursuit of happiness. You know, we don't have the right to happiness in this country. We have the right to the pursuit of happiness. So you have the right to go work for it.
Right. It's interesting, though, because I think there's a lot of power in having a sense of entitlement. And I think there are a lot of men who have a sense of entitlement. They expect that if they're going to show up somewhere, they're going to be paid. You're paying for my time, and I'm entitled to that.
Yeah.
And I see women who show up, I won. I have done so many things for free, like so many things, tons and tons and tons of work for free, and it's like an honor if you pay me. So I think for me, I would like to have a greater sense of entitlement around money anyway. You know, if I show up for you, if I provide value, I am entitled to receive value for that. So I think that's an interesting word if you flip it around.
It is, and I think kind of where I was going with it is they expect, and maybe I'm generalizing, but they expect it to be given to them without an exchange of energy. You know, just like a king or a queen or little princes and princesses, which they're not. Most of them anyway. My kid's not.
So what I like about the younger kids is that they do have a sense of a birthright of abundance, but they take it to the nth degree, and they just expect, and that's not what a conscious human being does, which is expects without any kind of energy in exchange. But they have something right. They've come into the world, and they're like, they feel worthy. They feel like it's their birthright to be here on the planet, whereas some of us are like, groveling, and we're like, maybe some of us were born with original sin, or some of us were born with, this idea that, you have to work really, 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 really hard to get what you want. So whereas they came in with a different kind of consciousness. And so I totally get what you're saying about, yeah, it's annoying, but at the same time, if I can look at them and I go, wow, if I can just have an ounce of that birthright worthiness energy, and then take my 40-year-old woman that knows better and knows how to be responsible and knows how to, put the work in to exchange energy, wow, we really have something. So we could take one extreme, which is where some of us are, which is we're not worthy, and then them, which are super worthy, and kind of find a balance here.
I like that.
Yeah, I think I'm going for super worthy. I think sometimes the pendulum has to swing like to the other side before it can get into the middle, which is something I myself have done just in different areas in my life. And I spend so much time with the pendulum over here that I'm not worthy. I think I need to go into like entitlement and that masculine energy for a little bit of time until I can experience that and get the ball rolling, and then I'm sure it'll settle somewhere in the middle. But for me, I think I just want to like be like, I'm a queen. I feel it. I'm a queen. I have value. I have worth. It's about right now accepting that for myself. And I think that when you fully step into that and accept that for yourself, you will know that that has fully integrated when other people start treating you that way as well. And you start seeing that reflected in the way that the world responds to you. And I'm getting there. I'm seeing like things starting to move, but I'm like Bambi on my little shaky legs still. I'm not exactly like running and galloping through the forest, but I'm moving. There's movement happening.
Yeah, well, I've even experienced this firsthand with my clients. My clients that pay me when they receive their service are so different than those clients that, which actually they're not my clients anymore, but they would call me and ask me if I could, they don't have the money right now and can I help them out? And I used to say, sure, I will. And what I found was there was no energy exchange. And what happened was that my value was expending and not being met with their value. And so I guess where I'm going with this is there has to be some kind of energy exchange. And if there's not, then the world just doesn't balance out. It just doesn't. You have to exchange some kind of energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and people that pay, especially for something like coaching or some kind of intangible like that, those people typically participate more fully. They value your time and their own because they paid for it. Whereas often it's kind of surprising because sometimes people, they'll tell you their story and it's very moving and you're like, they need this, I have to do this because they need this. And then you start getting the emails like, oh, I really haven't had the time to look at that yet. Or it's interesting how if it's a gift, not in all cases. I've had people that have really, I've given scholarships to, for example, and they're very appreciative and involved. But I do see what you're saying. Sometimes when there's not that equal energy exchange, it just fizzles out and falls flat. And then you kind of feel taken advantage of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Resentment.
Mm-hmm.
I set up an interesting scenario. I'm on the tail end of a 3-week online course, and there was a woman who emailed me and said, God, I really want to take this course. It was an $89 course. I really want to take this course, and I don't have the money. I don't have a job, but I do have the time to put the effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, you know what? I want to honor this request, and I want to make a request of her.
Oh.
So what I did was I said, you are going to be our Cinderella. So let me back up. This class, it's for healers. It's to help healers be seen, heard, and felt. And so basically it's taking the wounded healer and making them, let me back up. So this woman, get back to the story. This woman, she is so, appreciative. She says, yes, I want to do this with you. And I said, but here's what I need from you in exchange is I need you to be the Cinderella story. I need you to show up. I need you to prove that even if you don't have money, you can do all the concerted effort things that you need to do to make this happen. And guess what? Guess what?
He did?
No. But the thing is the cool thing about it, I got what I wanted, which was I will stand up for this woman. I vow to stand up for this woman, and I will only go as far as she will go. So I can't give her anything more than what I'm already offering to the entire group. So she would ask me, oh, I need help with this technical problem or this, and it's like, I can't. So basically, I can't be in a position where I'm overextending myself. Because you know what? A long time ago, I used to do that. And that's the same kind of attitude that when we deny the rescuer in us or whatever it is, we're going to find ourselves with no money.
Yeah.
And giving things away for free. And so, granted, yes, we do, it's great to give an offering, but if there's not any kind of an exchange, especially for a class, a paid class, if there's not an exchange of at least energy, you know, it proves our point of why we need money in this world, why we need money. Because if you don't have something tangible to exchange, it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I think this is such a female thing. I see so many women talking about this. I see so many women talking about working for free, and there may be men out there doing it, but I'm not seeing it. In fact, I have plenty of girlfriends and myself whose husbands sit there scratching their heads at us going like, what are you doing this for? Are you getting paid? How much are you making doing this? Like, that's what they want to know. That's like, why are you giving up your time and not getting paid? And then we get defensive and we get upset. We're like, because this is my passion. That's what I love. It's my career. You know? And they're like, but where's the money? It's just that simple. So
tell me the money.
I'm so excited to talk about this.
You drew a money boundary in a sense with her. An energy exchange. That's really interesting how that worked. I think you're right. I think we all do it. I think we give away and then we expect something in return, and we're not. Sometimes we don't get it back.
Yeah. I think that asking for a testimony or something that is an energy exchange, I think that can be really good. Or asking somebody if you would like a scholarship. You know, make a video telling me why, or write a blog post telling me why. That's a wonderful energy exchange. If you're just starting out, if you have a business online, I think that's perfect and beautiful.
Without an energy exchange, there is no value.
Love it.
Dawn, did you want to chime in? Oh, here we go again. I feel like I'm watching one of those Japanese movies, you know, where their lips are moving, but no sound is coming out. You're just seeing words at the bottom. I'm sorry, Dawn, we don't hear you. Oh, bummer. You know, I'm not sure. I don't think the Q&A is on for this. Does anybody have the capacity to go into Facebook and see what...
I do. Let me see Facebook real quick.
Okay, because I'd like to be able to involve everybody that's a part of 4 on 40, and to thank you guys for joining us in the private Facebook group and participating there. Some funny things have happened there, some really funny, awesome posts, and some really good discussions too. And what I'd love for us to do is keep the discussion going around money, especially because I think Ray was joking, like, can I have $10 when I posted, you know, does anybody have any questions? And that was like what she wrote. It's like so funny. It made me laugh.
Well, there aren't any comments, but let's just give a shout out to Ray and Selena and Sheila and Robin and Sarah and Nellie and Judy and Jennifer and who do we have? Phoebe and Yvette and Sandy. Just give a shout out. Thank you so much for participating, and sorry we've had some funky little glitches, but that's just how it rolls sometimes.
I know there were 2 things on Facebook, questions earlier posted. I can try to look, but my computer doesn't like me to do that, so I was...
Yeah.
I've had some friends that have talked to me recently about they give too much. They have people, you know, ask kind of vampires in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this feeling like they have to give to them, almost a codependent kind of a thing. So how would you guys approach that? Somebody that has a woman that has a good job that's our age, and she's being preyed upon, I guess.
I think that, again, can be... That's an issue I see a lot of women struggling with. I think it's about setting healthy boundaries and being able to say no. And again, then that comes right back to worthiness and valuing your own self and your own time more than you value. I think sometimes we value other people's experience over our own. It's like, so I'm miserable, and you're making me totally uncomfortable, and I might even hate you, but I'm going to say yes so I don't offend you, you know?
Yeah, I don't want you to be mad at me. So.
I don't want you to be mad at me.
Yeah, that's just... And
So,
I think...
mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to read what Phoebe had asked on her question. So she didn't know where to begin because she pretty much doesn't like money altogether. And she says she has a pretty good handle on money, but she still has an uneasy relationship with money. So her big question was, how do I live the creative life that I want without worrying so much over money? Because for me, they are somewhat tied together.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
They are all, for all four of us here, we all have that in common. And I know Phoebe quite well, and she is a badass. This woman is seriously so valuable and offers so much value to people every single day. You have a question, she has an answer. And if she doesn't have an answer, she'll go find it for you. Like, she is the classic, like, giver, in my opinion. And my only advice, and I am not a money guru yet, I will be one day, and I will come back and fill you in on that. But my advice would be to see the creation of money and the creation of wealth as being creative, and to see it as an extension of your creativity and joy, and have fun doing it, as opposed to something that's scary.
Yeah, yeah. And then the tangible thing that I would add on to that is, you know what? Hire somebody to either market you, or and this doesn't have to be expensive. You can go to your local college and hire a college student who wants to work with you as an exchange, because they're trying to get their resume filled up, you know, for them once they get out of college. Hire them to take care of the financial part of your business. If you're uncomfortable with it, don't try to be creative and worry about money. So hire somebody to hold you accountable. You know, are you charging for your services or goods? And make them be the person who you have to go to say, hey, I'm going to give this good or service away. Can I? And they're going to be like, hell no, because you got bills to pay.
Right. So like an accountability partner.
Yes, yes. I think that is something, especially for creatives, especially for healers. Just hire somebody on a weekly basis, even, that you check in with them, and then what will happen is throughout the week you'll be conscious of what you're doing, because you're going to have to report back to this person and say, yeah, I gave away, you know, 50% of my services and goods this week. Yeah, that's great. Whereas if you're by yourself and you're in your solopreneur type situation, you're going to just let it slide because you're in denial.
Yeah.
Dawn, your phone is making all kinds of noise, so I think it wants to talk. Do you have something you want to say?
Oh, you can hear me.
Yes. Oh.
Doggone it.
I want to give a shout out to Sandy Willis too, because she shows up for all of these, and I know we put her through the ringer this morning. Everybody who showed up, but I know for sure Sandy was there. So hey, Sandy. Another small business owner online, another woman, heart-centered woman trying to start her own business online. This is such a thing for us women moms, especially who we feel a little bit tethered to our home. The internet has really changed the game for us, where we can start our own businesses online and still take care of our families. So that's super exciting. But then all these issues we're talking about, self-worth, in addition to just the nuts and bolts of, you know, running your own business, I think as women, a lot of us, we have those additional issues of setting boundaries, knowing our worth, valuing ourselves. So yeah, she's in the same boat as a lot of us.
Gotcha.
I think we've lost Dawn permanently as well. Well, I think we've covered so much ground in a fairly short period of time, considering we got started late today, and it's so much good stuff. I hope that this is something that we can dive even deeper into in the Facebook group because it's private. Maybe we can hold each other accountable in that group and really keep this conversation going. Is there anything that you two wanted to add some value to this conversation?
No, I like what you said about, just because if participants have questions and they want to hash things out, I think that's a great venue is Facebook. Because then we can kind of think about, our thoughts and type it out and, exchange information that way too. And maybe even if there's good videos out there, there's so many, like maybe there's a TED Talk that addresses this. Maybe we can find something and post something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I welcome discussion in the Forum 40 group. Like we said, there can be a lot of shame around this, and it's a safe place to open up and air it, because when you get it out, we all know that that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Gives you a new perspective on it, and then it's a catalyst for change. So
absolutely.
Let's talk.
And let's get practical. Let's share the useful links and tips.
Useful tools.
If you learn something about investing, or you learn about a really great retirement plan, or some tax information that the rest of us need to know, let's bring some of that energy into it as well, so it's not a bunch of women in a circle holding hands telling each other I value you and you're worthy. Like, let's also step up with the practicalities, because I think that's what's so scary. We haven't been educated that way. So as we're educating ourselves, maybe we can come back to the group and be like, here's what I've learned.
Love it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Will do.
Okay, well, thank you so much for putting up with all of our glitches. You may be watching this on replay because of our glitches. So much love to all of you, and thank you, Dawn, Lenora, Suzanne, and every single person watching today. Much appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Much love. Peace.
Okay. Peace.